They will be among the mission staff and supporters who spend 24 hours on a bench outside. They would love for you to come down and see them. First, they've stopped by our studio to tell us more about Bench Talks. Rukshini Punayagulin is the executive director of the mission, and Natalie Bouguin is community advocate for the mission. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rukshini, I want to start with you. Tell us the purpose of Bench Talks.
The purpose of Bench Talks is to bring our community a little bit of awareness about some of the issues that the guests of the mission face daily, nightly. It's an opportunity for community members, for companies, organizations downtown or in the Windsor, Essex County area to come down, come by the mission, get a tour of the mission. I know Natalie and I have had the pleasure of doing this event now for a few years, side by side. And it's always a pleasure to take people around the mission and explain to them what goes on at the mission.
And will you personally be sitting on the bench for most of the night?
Yes, I will. And so will Miss Natalie here, as well as Greg LeMay, another community advocate, one of our board members, Abram Behrman, and Ward 3 Councillor Ronaldo Agostino as well.
And Natalie, you don't work for the mission, but you've been a part of this campaign for many years now. Tell us how you first became involved.
That's correct. I initially became involved because of my involvement with the Windsor Youth Center as well through my nonprofit YQG Cares. I do annual sleeping bags for the homeless where we also collect funds, hats, gloves, scarves, and thermal socks. And then we hand them out one night out of the year. And then through the course of that involvement, I kind of got to know a little bit more about the Bench Talks. And of course, like you said, I came running towards anything and everything I can do, or I try to include others and encourage others to get involved through any means possible.
Why do you feel so strongly about the mission's work?
I will say I carry forward the mindset that I got embedded into me in the military days. We are as strong or as weak as our weakest link, and as a community, it is important for those that are in a better financial standing to be able to turn around and help a lending hand to those that are struggling, whether it's homelessness or those that are borderline tiptoeing towards that as well. It's always been important to me ever since I was a child. I would sponsor children in third world countries, so it's always been natural for me to want to try to help as much as possible.
And you've done the Bench Talks for a few years. Has that changed your perception of the population?
It has, that and the sleeping bag drives, but you get to have more involved conversations with these individuals, and then you really realize that they're not what people make them out to be, just druggies and drug addicts that don't want anything for their life. Some of these individuals were high income producing individuals and working through different and great occupations, and then through a course of unfortunate events or incidences, accidents, or deaths in their family, or their support systems were kind of ripped under the rug from them. They found themselves in this now predicament that they face, and it's just so disheartening to know. And what was that stat that it spoke to? Most Canadians are like one paycheck away or
two paychecks
away from facing homelessness themselves. And
I mean, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
that Natalie just spoke about, that doing these Bench Talks, it's not just community businesses and organizations and donors that stop by. Actually, was it last year? We had quite an active night where we had quite a few individuals who lived in the downtown area, or perhaps were staying in a shelter, who stopped by and have shared their stories with us, right? And that's where we hear that these individuals, it just took something that happened often, and they were working, they were living a life with a family in their home, and they were safe and warm, and everything was fine until it wasn't. So it really does, it gives us that reminder, I think, every year we do it, when we interact with these individuals who come up and so selflessly give their stories to us to give us that better understanding. But it also then gives the other individuals who happen to be stopping by the bench at that time to also hear those stories. And they really connect because you always, like, I shouldn't say you always, but most of us, I don't think that this will happen to us or this would happen to a loved one. You never know. And just like you said as well, Natalie, like this is a great opportunity for people who are able to stop by to make a difference if they're able to financially, but also if not, they can, drop off some warm gloves or non-perishable items for our food bank, or even just come and learn about these individuals that places like the Mission or the Windsor Youth Center, the Welcome Center for Women and Families, the Salvation Army, the H4, the Housing Hub, these places, how they exist and what they are doing and who they're helping.
Some people may feel intimidated to step into the mission when they do find that they're sort of at that bottom. Do you hear that often, that making that first step to connect with you is challenging?
I think it is challenging for some individuals, especially if they're coming to the mission first. So oftentimes women will go to the Welcome Center for Women and Families. Men will go to the Salvation Army. And then they will come to the mission if they need to, right? If they can't get there, if there's no space there, if they can't stay there for whatever reason, then they will come to the mission as the low barrier shelter. So it can be challenging. It can be difficult for individuals. Our staff are incredible individuals who are very caring and empathetic and kind to anyone who comes. And we do the best we can to give people that space of safety and welcome and warmth that they may not be or they may not be aware is available to them or is accessible to them. And then as they are there a little bit longer, perhaps maybe they get a meal, maybe they get the bed for the night, whatever it is, as they start building those relationships with our staff, then they could actually open up a little bit more about what's going on in their life, because maybe it's not just a shelter bed they need, but maybe it's actually participation with our Phoenix Recovery group, for example, or our enterprise job training program. Or if they're younger, maybe they are actually better fit to go and get services at the Windsor Youth Center or another youth serving agency, right?
And part of the reason for doing the bench talks is to raise money. How strapped are you right now for resources?
We're always strapped. So we depend on our community supporters, our donors in the community, both individuals, companies, organizations. They provide, I think it's about 60% of our revenue to operate 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And we have the location at H75 Olette, which serves adults. But we also have our Windsor Youth Center, which Natalie was talking about earlier, on Wyandotte Street East as well. And both locations are seeing more and more individuals coming to it. At the 875 Olette location, we also have our food bank, which this event is actually supporting financially as well this year, because the food bank is a place where people who have a home actually go to when they need help, right? Because they have to make the choice, unfortunately, sometimes, do I pay my rent or do I feed myself and my family? So the food bank is, as hard as it is to see, it has a lot of people coming to it every day. I think right now we're averaging between 1,500 and 2,000 people per month. They're coming once a month to our food bank. They can go to another food bank as well in the community once a month as well. And then there's other food pantries and things that they can access as well. But these are all individuals who need help. And the food bank, for example, is run purely on donations. And our community is struggling, so we need help, unfortunately.
Natalie, what's your message to the community about why they should get behind the mission and the work that they're doing?
Oh my gosh. I guess the first step, and this is a great first step, but to raise more awareness as to all of the programs. You just mentioned several. The biggest message to the community is to to be able to just extend of yourself and to be able to, even if it's just, if you don't have the monetary means, to be able to donate. If you have extra non-perishable foods or just sharing posts, sharing events like this, inviting others to get involved. Everybody has, of course, a limited capacity now that housing prices has gone up, groceries is going up, gas. We're all overextended. The idea is not that one person would do a great deed. It would be that many people would step in and do micro deeds. And as a community, that's incredibly impactful. So whether it's, $5 here or a little box of non-perishable foods there or sharing a post, it all adds up to such a great amount of support. If I can touch base really quickly, last year it broke my heart. One of the first things that I was telling individuals as they were arriving to this bench talks was, you have to go see where the food bank is. The shelves were empty. And then all of these families that come every day to be able to get some foods, they don't have access, or you guys were spreading it out so thinly, but you were doing the best that you can. Again, though, this comes back to depending on the community to be able to support you. And again, doing micro donations here and there, it all adds up. Right.
And even if you can't donate too, it's important to remember there's the opportunity to volunteer as well.
Yes.
Whether, it's helping to cook a meal, serve a meal at the mission, helping to gather the items for individuals who come to our food bank, or whether it's providing a meal or supports to young people at the Windsor Youth Centre. There's ways to give back. So even if you can't afford it financially, even if it's not an item that you can donate, if it's your time that you can donate, and it's a great way too to learn that these individuals who need our help in our community are not that far away from us. And they just need some love and compassion. And that's another great thing that we can provide. We as individuals, as human beings, can provide to other individuals in our community. They're not alone, and they just need to know that.
Thank you so much for coming in, and good luck with your bench talk.
Thank you.
Thank